Okay, so today we are going to continue progressing forward in the historical narrative in Kings and Chronicles. We still have a couple of paragraphs left to read in the book that we label as First Kings, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to have a whole bunch of stories in the beginning of Second Kings that have no equivalent passages in Chronicles. Because the book of Kings deals with the kings of the north and the south, whereas Chronicles deals pretty much only with the kings of the south, because by the time the chronicler is writing, the northern kingdom is gone. And so there's a lot of material here in the ministries of Elijah and Elisha, the prophets, and their ministry is to the north. So their ministry is covered in the book of Kings, but not so much in the book of Chronicles, because they were prophets that were sent to the northern kingdom. And so all the stories involving them are contained pretty much exclusively in the books of Kings. Anyway, so Ahab is dead. Ahab went to Ramoth-Gilead. He was enticed by a lying spirit that was put in the mouths of his prophets, his yes men, the men who told him what he wanted to hear. He wanted to go to Ramoth-Gilead. He had made up his mind that he was going to go to Ramoth-Gilead. He asked for confirmation from his prophets about going to Ramoth-Gilead. They all said yes. He wanted Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, to join him in the battle against Ramoth-Gilead, and Jehoshaphat was willing, but he wanted to hear from a genuine prophet of Yahweh first, and there was still one that Ahab had access to. It wasn't Elijah, it wasn't Elisha. I don't think he had access to them. I think they were kind of beyond his control. They just kind of came and went whenever they felt like it. But he had one that he had locked up in prison somewhere named Micaiah, and we hadn't read about before, and we won't read about again afterwards either. And Micaiah said, "Go ahead and go, and you'll die." But the Lord has put a lying spirit in the mouths of all these prophets to tell you what you want to hear, to entice you to go to your doom at Ramoth-Gilead, and he went. He seemed to have some awareness of the danger, because he wanted Jehoshaphat to act as a decoy. Didn't save him, though. He ended up dying from just some random arrow that hit him right in the wrong place in his armor, and he died. Jehoshaphat, however, did not die. Jehoshaphat may have been willing to go along with Ahab because he felt comfortable. The prophecy Micaiah gave was against Ahab, excuse me, more than it was against the nations themselves. He said that the sheep will be without a shepherd, but everybody else is going to go home in peace. Ahab was the person being singled out in that prophecy. Anyway, now we're not by any means done with, even though Ahab himself is dead, we're not done with his influence or his legacy, or that of his father's house, the house of Omri. We still have to get rid of that entire dynasty. Jezebel is still around, and we still have to get rid of that entire dynasty of Ahab and Omri, and that's going to take a while longer still. That's not going to happen overnight. So here we are in the book of 1 Kings, the end of the book, chapter 22, starting in verse 41. Jehoshaphat, son of Asa, became king of Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 25 years. His mother's name was Azubah, daughter of Shilhi. In everything, he walked in the ways of his father Asa, and did not stray from them. He did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. The high places, however, were not removed, and the people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense there. These would be the high places that were devoted to Yahweh. They're not allowed, because the temple is supposed to be for that now. But at least it's better than having a high place devoted to a Baal or an Asherah or something along those lines. Jehoshaphat also was at peace with the king of Israel. He married into Israel's family. And his son did too, and so we're going to have, and that's going to cause problems. There may have been peace between the two kingdoms, but right now, the northern kingdom is an enemy of God, and so making peace with an enemy of God is going to compromise Jehoshaphat and his family, and it's going to have disastrous consequences later on. As for the other events of Jehoshaphat's reign, the things he achieved in his military exploits, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? He rid the land of the rest of the male shrine prostitutes who remained there even after the reign of his father Asa. There was no king in Edom. A deputy ruled. So Judah had control over Edom at this time. Keep that in mind too, because that's going to be important going forward. They're going to lose control of Edom after this. Now Jehoshaphat built a fleet of trading ships to go to Ophir for gold. Remember, Solomon had this. Solomon had a fleet of trading ships that carried gold back and forth between him and Ophir. That's why the Queen of Sheba went up to talk to him. Jehoshaphat is trying to rebuild some of that legacy. But they never set sail. Well, there goes that idea, huh? They were wrecked at Ezion-Geber. At that time, Ahaziah, son of Ahab, said to Jehoshaphat, "Let my men sail with your men," but Jehoshaphat refused. Then Jehoshaphat rested with his fathers, and was buried with them in the city of David his father. And Jehoram his son succeeded him. Let's go to 2 Chronicles and read a little bit more about this. 2 Chronicles. Let's just go ahead and begin at the start of chapter 19. This is technically the end of the previous story about the joint battle at Ramoth-Gilead, which ended in the death of Ahab. The chronicler writes a little bit more about this at the end than we read in Kings. 2 Chronicles 19, verse 1. When Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, returned safely to his palace in Jerusalem, Jehu the seer, son of Hanani, I read about Hanani earlier. He was there in the days of Asa. He was the guy who talked to Asa. Chapter 16, verse 7. Hanani the seer came to Asa, king of Judah. So this is apparently that guy's son. So that seer had a son who was also a seer, named Jehu or Yehu. So went out to meet him and said to the king, "Should you help the wicked and love those who hate the Lord? Because of this, the wrath of the Lord is upon you. There is, however, some good in you, for you have rid the land of the Asherah poles, and have set your heart on seeking God." Jehoshaphat was overall a good king, but he made a big mistake in trying to marry into the house of... I think Jehoshaphat was trying to reunify the kingdom through these intermarriages, these political intermarriages. That's the text doesn't actually say that, so I can't assert that definitively. But it seems to me, especially with the reference to him trying to reestablish a trading route with Ophir, which Solomon had. It seems to me that Jehoshaphat is attempting to reestablish the Solomon-style empire through intermarrying with the northern kingdom, presumably hoping to meld the kingdoms back together that way. It did not work. But my guess is that that's what he was thinking. I don't know. I cannot say that for sure. The text doesn't actually say that. But that's my gut feeling. That's what it seems like to me. Jehoshaphat lived in Jerusalem, and he went out again among the people from Beersheba to the hill country of Ephraim. Now that's not technically his territory, but he has conquered part of that territory. That is the northern kingdom territory, but he has expanded his influence into that area, and turned them back to the Lord their God, the God of their fathers. He appointed judges in the land, in each of the fortified cities of Judah. He told them, "Consider carefully what you do, because you are not judging for man, but for the Lord." That's L-O-R-D, capital L-O-R-D, Lord. So that's God's actual name there. "Who is with you whenever you give a verdict. Now, let the fear of the Lord be upon you. Judge carefully, for with the Lord our God there is no injustice or partiality or bribery." In Jerusalem also, Jehoshaphat appointed some of the Levites, priests, and heads of Israelite families to administer the law of the Lord and to settle disputes. And they lived in Jerusalem. He gave them these orders: "You must serve faithfully and wholeheartedly in the fear of the Lord. In every case that comes before you from your fellow countrymen who live in the cities, whether bloodshed or other concerns of the law, commands, decrees, or ordinances, you are to warn them not to sin against the Lord. Otherwise, His wrath will come on you and your brothers. Do this, and you will not sin. Azariah the chief priest will be over you in any matter concerning the Lord. And Zebediah, son of Ishmael, the leader of the tribe of Judah, will be over you in any matter concerning the king. So the priests were in charge of the religious matters, and the priests, of course, of the tribe of Levi, and someone from the tribe of Judah, the royal tribe, is in charge of administrative or civil matters. And the Levites will serve as officials before you. Act with courage, and may the Lord be with those who do well. So in Judah at this time, they actually had a proper teaching class of Levites and other officials who were maintaining order and discipline in the country. Israel didn't have all that at this point in time. Israel instead had kind of an arrangement of prophet guilds. We read about this with Elijah, and we'll see a lot of it with Elisha. Israel's priesthood and Levite system has completely fallen apart, and it seems like in its place these prophet guilds have sprung up instead. But we'll read about that more when we get down to Elisha. We've already read about some, and we're going to read about it more to come. But here in Judah, they don't need that. They have an actual proper Levitical teaching system still in place, a proper priesthood and a proper Levitical teaching system still in place. So they don't need to have these prophet guilds like Israel does.